Our next case is Mr. Johnny O'Neill. Are you Mr. O'Neill?
I am, sir.
Mr. O'Neill, would you give us your full name and DLC number, please?
My name is Johnny O'Neill, 523280.
Mr. O'Neill, I'm going to read some information into the record, then we're going to conduct a pardon interview with you. And at the appropriate time, those persons who've indicated they wish to speak will have some input. Here today on your behalf, I believe on Zoom, is Kathy O'Neill and Billy O'Neill, your sister and brother. They don't want to speak, but they're here to support you. We do have two people in opposition, Ms. Gertrude Thomas and Ms. Betty Wilson, who will be speaking. Once we have the hearing, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the board, and then we'll vote. You understand our procedure, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is Johnny O'Neill, 523280, date of birth, July the 3rd of 1967. He's a first-time offender. He's serving a life sentence on the charge of second-degree murder, having been sentenced on May 7th of 2007. Mr. O'Neill, is all of that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. O'Neill, your case was assigned to me, so I'll begin our interview with you. Mr. O'Neill, how old are you, sir?
55,
How long have you been in prison on these charges?
17 and a half years.
And you were charged with second-degree murder. You were tried and convicted of second-degree murder. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes, sir.
That was a jury trial or a judge trial?
Jury trial.
Tell me in your own words what happened back in December the 23rd of 2005.
Well, I had just come from Walmart, picking up some food for my dogs. And I drove up and went in the house and checked on the business. We had a business, and I was checking the sales, the internet sales, to see did we have anything on there. And then I heard a dog outside that barked, and it was my dog outside barking. And I looked out the window, and it was a big pit bull that was in my yard. I called the dog pound about the dog to see if they can come send someone out. And they was telling me that it'll probably be an hour or so before they could get out. I wind up having to make another call because the dog was still threatening my dogs, and the attendant told me that she needed someone to find out which way the dog went. And I told her, I was kind of busy at the time, but she said, the dog may wind up hurting someone. So that's what made me go outdoors that evening. And I'll go outside.
Mr. O'Neill, I didn't see any of that in the police report about the pit bull. I know that's your story that you're saying in your application, but there was nothing in the police report whatsoever back at the time about a pit bull. Why is that?
The police report, you're saying there's nothing in the police report about the pit bull?
Correct.
I do not know. They just didn't put it in there. I guess I don't know, sir. At the time,
tell me how it is you ended up shooting Mr. Calvin Moore 6 times.
I came outside and I looked to the right because when she told me to come outside to look for the pit, I come outside. I looked to the right. I got a neighbor stayed up, Mr. At 252 East Herndon. I asked him, did he see the direction of the pit bull? He says no. And so I looked around and I don't see the pit bull, and I goes over, I hear something over in the yard, and I see Mr. Moore over here cutting the yard, and I goes over and asking him the same thing, did he see the direction of the pit bull? At that time, I heard something like a crack or something fell at the back here. And when I turned to look at it, I was asking Mr. Moore about it. And while Mr. Moore was cutting, he had started to cut up in the yard, which was no problem. I just put some ryegrass. Now I just simply asked him, if you can just, cut on the sidewalk part and not that. By me looking back, that took my eyes off what was in front of me. And that's when Mr. Moore, he started to curse, and as I turned back, my foot slipped on the leaves. and, the lawnmower was coming at me. And that's when I wind up, pulling the gun out and wind up shooting Mr. Moore.
Well, that's probably the third or fourth story that you've told. So tell me how you pulled the gun out, because one of your stories was you slipped down, your gun got caught in your pants and it started firing. So what did you do? I mean, what happened? Why did you shoot the man? Because he was cutting his grass?
No, he was in my yard, sir. And what happened is at that time, I got a lot of leaves that done fell out of an oak tree that I got in my yard. And my yard has an incline to it. And right at the top of that incline, that's where I'm standing at. And there's a lot of leaves there. So as Mr. Moore is pushing up, now as he begins to push the more at me, and that's when I wind up having to pull the gun to try to
So he had a lawnmower and you had a gun and you thought he was coming at you, so you shot him 6 times?
What happens is I didn't go out there to do nothing to Mr. Moore.
Well, but you did. So tell me what you did while you were out there.
Well, I was out there, like I said, to look for the pit bull.
I heard all of that. I want to know why you shot him, because he was cutting your yard and he looked like he might be pushing towards you.
Well, he was coming at me, sir. And while I'm standing at the top of the hill, by me looking back, that's what distracted me. And so when I look back, that's when I see the lawnmower as he's cussing me and threatening. That's when I see the lawnmower coming up on me. He has
Mr. O'Neill, did you testify at your own trial and tell the jury this story?
I didn't get a chance to.
What do you mean you didn't get a chance to?
Me and the public defender, we talked about it, but then when the DA rested, the public defender got up and rested also, sir.
Well, I mean, he discussed that with you, I'm sure. You didn't tell him, I want to get up and tell my side of the story?
Yes, sir, I did.
So you never told the police anything about a pit bull. What was the relationship with you and Mr. Moore?
Mr. Moore was
that y'all had a lot of problems. You would report him for all kinds of things that were going on in your yard.
Actually, sir, Mr. Moore had Mr. Connor that stayed with him. Mr. Moore, like me, worked. Mr. Connor was the one.
Did you and Mr. Moore have a fairly acrimonious relationship? You didn't get along very well, is that fair to say?
Sir, we got along very well. Like I was saying earlier, he was the one that looked out to my house when I would go to work. I had my own business. Me and Mr. Moore didn't have no problems in the sense that we was beefing or anything. He would have Mr. Connor that stayed there who would play loud music late at night. So
but it was Mr. Moore with the lawnmower that you shot. He's your friend now. Y'all didn't have any problem? You didn't have any issues with Mr. Moore?
Only problem we had with Mr. Moore was the music that was played loud by Mr. Connor that was staying there. And a few times that, we had beer bottles that was thrown in our yard and stuff like that, that we had to report and stuff like that. I'm not no angry person where I'm going.
Well, let me ask you this. Why did you tell the police you slipped down and your gun just went off?
Because
why did you tell them that?
When I'm on the top of the hill, what's happening is by me having so many leaves there, I didn't get a chance to get the leaves out the yard. I mean, they just fell. So by me seeing the lawnmower, he's raising and about to lower the lawnmower, and I see the blades. That's what made me now trying to get out from up under it. And by me trying to hurry up and move, that's when my right foot slips up out from under me, and I can't get out from up under it. And so that's when I wind up pulling the gun, trying to stop him from lowering the blades down, and wind up cutting me up, and which is what he was saying,
Mr. O'Neill, how about drugs or alcohol? Do you use drugs or alcohol? Did you use drugs or alcohol back then?
I've never used drugs in my life. Only time I drunk when I was back as a teenager, probably 18, 19.
So you weren't drinking on this particular day?
No, sir.
So what What sort of programs have you taken while you've been in prison that have helped you while you've been there?
One of the things that I talk about that, I've been blessed to be a part of is faith-based, which allows me to learn about what causes anger and the triggers of anger. And in doing so, I've been blessed also to be able to teach others about anger and how to prevent anger and the consequences of anger. So faith-based has been one of the greatest tools that I've had a chance to listen and sit up under and grow up under and help me change. Yes.
Is it fair to say, since you believe one of the most significant things that you've learned while you've been in there is to control your anger, did you have an anger issue before you came to prison?
I didn't have what you call a anger issue, but it helps me to understand the difference in when you're upset, when you're angry about something, how to be able to handle it. The reason I chose anger because I get a chance to minister to a lot of dudes, a lot of men who are, and it also allowed me to see myself. When I say anger, I'm talking about emotions. So having a chance to see the different emotions and the class on dysfunction, the class on anger management. The reason I brought up anger because of anger management and other classes that I took, experiencing God, that allowed me to see, the person that I was and that I could be a better person. And that's why I talk about faith-based. And,
Mr. O'Neill, you've got opposition from law enforcement. You have opposition from the family of the victim. You've got a pretty good disciplinary record. You've only had 2 write-ups. Your last one was in 2016. You've got a number of letters of support. You're classified as a low risk. I guess my concern, and I want to be very frank with you, is I just don't think you're being honest about what happened. I think that a jury found you guilty of second-degree murder. I mean, what you're describing certainly is not second-degree murder. So I just don't think you're taking responsibility for what you did. You've only been in prison for 17 and a half years. You indicated one of the main things that you learned while you've been in there is to control your anger, but anger wasn't an issue, you say, with that deal. So how have you changed? Are you different than you were when you came into prison, or are you the same?
I am different, sir, because one of the classes that I take is like thinking for a change. And, I take full responsibility for my actions that day.
But what was your actions, and why do you take full responsibility for it if the man was trying to run over you with a lawnmower and you thought you were trying to protect yourself?
I take full responsibility, sir, for my part that I played because maybe if I would have been able to keep my foot, maybe, I could have did something different. I've looked at this every night and day since I've been here. The thing that you asked me that what have I changed, and that is to try to make sure that I don't get in a situation like that. And also to know that that when I'm in a situation like that, just trying to figure out another way to come out of that situation. I mean, so that's the thing. And yes, sir, that I have had a chance to change because the person that came here that 18 years ago, I was still in the process, with a business and all of this here. And I understand that a lot of times, like I share with my family, I put a lot of things in front of them, and those are the things I regret. So, like I said, I take full responsibility for what I have done. And
well, I hear you say that, but I don't see you admitting that you've done anything. You said you slipped. If you could change things, you say, well, I hope I wouldn't have slipped. I hear you. Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. O'Neill?
I can tell you that Mr. O'Neill is a minimum A trustee. He's a minister. He has a BA in Christian ministry, and he also is a healthcare audit training. So he also goes in and help with the medical offenders in Ashford.
Thank you. That's all the questions. Anybody have any questions? All right. Now we'll hear from, all right, now we'll hear from Miss Gertrude Thomas, who is the victim's sister. Ms. Thomas, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can. If you would introduce yourself, please, and tell us what you'd like us to know.
My name is Gertrude Thomas, and I am Calvin Moore's sister. I am definitely opposed to Mr. O'Neill being pardoned. He took a life. He took the life of our baby brother, a wonderful soul. He took away an uncle that was very, very kind to all of his nieces and nephews. I think it would be a great disappointment if they were to pardon him, because I really don't think he's changed. He started off with a lie, the very first thing. I had so many things to say, but they've really slipped my mind right now, because I'm very disappointed that he has not changed. He does not seem to have changed. His story has changed so many times. You know, each time I've heard or read what he said, it's been different. So I'm really in opposition to him being pardoned. And I pray that you guys grant that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thomas. We appreciate your comments.
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Ms. Wilson, how are you?
Hello. I'm well today, thank you.
If you would please introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to hear.
My name is Betty Moore Wilson, and today I come on behalf of Calvin's family. I did present my position statement in regards to my reasons as to why I think this commutation should not be granted. I say that for many reasons, but my heart is so heavy today, and I hear the story today in regards to Johnny O'Neill stating that he took a life because he slipped. He took a life because of my brother, who was an outstanding citizen in the community, who was known well in the community, helping others, family man, someone who would do anything for anyone. And I hear the story that relates back to you, the story that has followed me and has followed others, as you hear of the story of the murder and the lawnmower. That is how it's referenced. And that story is a story to when I was traveling into Louisiana from out of state, stopping at a local gas station and saw on the front cover of a local newspaper the story in regards to my brother being murdered. The story that has forever resonated in my soul, the story that I knew something that day was totally not right, as I had been with my family 2 days before, and this was around the Christmas season. As I mentioned, Calvin being a family man, we met as I was traveling to visit my family. We stopped in Texas. We had a beautiful time. The next 2 days, Calvin would host our family for Christmas. That didn't happen at the hands of Mr. O'Neill. He took that. He took everything from us that meant everything to us. This was heart-wrenching. This was part of me that left me, and I can never go back and claim all the things that were so essential to me and my family. This was my playmate as a child. This was my soulmate. This was my other half of me. This was my brother. This was my children's uncle. This was my brother. This was a family member. When I sit here today and hear Johnny O'Neill's story, it tears me down, it breaks me down. I visited Calvin many a time, knowing that we was a family, knowing the story that Mr. O'Neill possesses about Calvin bringing harm, or doing anything with Lawnmower. And when he had a gun and he shot him 6 times. 6 times, not once, 6 times. I recall the day when my soul just was not right the whole day. When I just could not feel the uplift, the heaviness that was on me. When later that night, I received the tragic news, I immediately sat up in bed and said, something's wrong. I had to make the drive from Alabama to Louisiana. That tore me down. I had to plan abuse over Christmas. The day we never made a second. I asked that this board, I prayed that this board not request a commutation on behalf of Calvin's family, on behalf of doing what's right. And Mr. O'Neill, I say to you today, search your heart. Search your heart and know that you took away a good man. You took away a man, a citizen, outstanding person in the community who we can never get back. My baby brother, someone outstanding in the community. I wish you know good at this point and know good that we get a commutation today. Sit and think about what you have done to this family. You
Mrs.
tore us
Wilson,
down.
Just direct the board, please, and it's
Thank you.
time to wrap up. We
Thank
need to
you.
understand your position.
Thank
Thank you very much. Mr. O'Neill, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
Yes, sir. I would just like to say that, like I was saying, sir, I was not angry with Mr. Moore. We got along very good, like I said, and what I just shared today, that's what happened. I'm not a person to go around just being violent. You know, I regret what happened. You know, but like I said, I didn't go out there that night to do Mr. Moore anything then. You know, I'm not a danger to society then. I wasn't a danger to society now. I think the record showed that, you know, had my own business out there on the street, in church, getting ready to go to church that weekend for Christmas celebration. Even here, you know, the Lord have blessed me to be able to help people. The same thing I was doing on the street, basically. But like I said, just learned a little bit more about who I am and how to be able to help more people and then help myself. And, you know, like I said, I apologize. I just, you know, hope the board can know that, you know, I'm not perfect. I wasn't perfect. There's nothing inside of me that's about hurting people at all. You know, I had no intention of trying to hurt Mr. Moore. That was not something. It's just something that, you know. So with that, you know, with the shame I brought on my family with this, my part in this, the hurt I've caused. I mean, that's something that I deal with since I've been here. And the only way I have known to be able to rectify that is by trying to help other people not come here, and those that are here not to commit violence, crimes of violence. You know, so with that, you know, I would just like to say thank the board and, you know, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Appreciate your comments. The board ready to vote?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill, you know, you've done well while you've been in prison. You've done some, your disciplinary record is good, or you're low risk. You take some faith-based programs. I'd like to see you take some more programs. The real problem I've got is you just don't accept responsibility for what you did. I mean, your story has changed time after time after time. I've seen 2 and 3 different stories throughout your police report. A jury heard all of the evidence. They heard everything that happened on that particular day, and they found you guilty of second-degree murder. You say you apologize, you take full responsibility, but you've taken no responsibility. You say you slipped and it was an accident, and you're sorry. I just, I think you need some more time to reflect on what you did and why you did it. Perhaps it was you were angry, but you shot this man 6 times. And for me, I just can't vote to recommend a pardon, especially since you've only served about 17 years in prison on a second-degree murder charge. So based upon all of those things, my vote, the victim opposition, law enforcement opposition, my vote would be to deny. Ms. Jackson?
My vote is the same, Mr. O'Neill, for the same reason.
Ms. Rocha?
Mr. O'Neill, based upon insufficient time served, opposition from the legal community, victim opposition, and primarily a lack of responsibility for your actions, I deny your request.
Thank you, Ms. Rocha. Mr. Freeman?
I concur with everything that was said. I vote aye.
Mr. O'Neill, you've got 4 votes to deny. I hope you continue to work hard while you're in prison. I hope you start working on yourself to kind of come to some realization of what really happened out there that night so you can accept that.
Okay,
Good luck to you, sir.
thank you, sir.
Okay, I think we're finished at Angola. Warden, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Time is 5:33.